Are you a new year, new you type of person? Do you know the mistakes most of us make and the right way to do the look back, look forward? On episode 272 of the 40 Plus Fitness Podcast, we discuss what it takes to live better longer. Welcome to the 40 Plus Fitness Podcast, the largest and longest running health and fitness podcast dedicated to people over 40. Whether you're looking to lose weight, get stronger, or improve your health and age better, this podcast is for you. I'm your host, Coach Allan, an online health and fitness coach and author of The Wellness Roadmap. Each week, we dive into practical tips, expert advice, and inspiring stories to help you take control of your health and fitness. If you're ready to look, feel, and perform your best, no matter your age, this podcast is the perfect place to start. Let's get you on the path to a healthier, fitter, and more energetic version of yourself. I hope you'll join us each week, and together we can unlock your full potential. Hello, and welcome to the last episode of the 40 Plus Fitness Podcast for 2025. This is episode 272. I'm really glad you're here. I'm Coach Allan, your host. I've been doing this since the beginning, over 10 years of podcasting, and I'm not going anywhere for a while. So this is a really good show. I'm glad we're having this at the end of the year. It's going to go live on December 30th. You might be hearing this after that. But generally today, we're going to talk about the look back, look forward thing that most of us do around this holiday, around this time of year, as we go into the new year. And I'm going to give you some tips on how to avoid the mistakes and what you can do to set up a better process so you can get more done, better done for yourself, and you can live a longer, better life starting in. This is the time of year that we stop and we begin to think about the future, at least the next year in the future. You know, we're turning the page and we're thinking about what's going to be next and what this next year is going to be like. And this is also a moment where a lot of us also think about the many mistakes we may have made in the past. Now, this process is important. Don't get me wrong, but most of us are doing it wrong. And there are three key mistakes that most of us are making when we go through this process of looking back, looking forward. So mistake number one is we don't take responsibility for why we are where we are. And I'm going to give you an example here. Okay, at the bed and breakfast my wife and I own and operate in Boca del Toro, it's called Lula's. You can find it at lulabb.com. Now, there are 6 rooms, and all the rooms are on the second floor. Okay, this is in an old Caribbean house. It's beautiful, but it's not built to U.S. specs. So the stairwell is steep and narrow, very steep and narrow, but it's still manageable. I mean, I can get up and down through there. Okay. It is a little steep, but most people don't have problems. But we got this review recently, and it's from a woman named Nancy. And I want to give a little context because Nancy called us before she was due to arrive and requested a ground room floor. And we had to inform her, you know, we don't have any ground floors. They're all on the second floor, but she chose to stay with us anyway. And then, of course, she leaves this review. It's a quaint hotel, well run, with a lot of requirements. It's geared towards younger people. We're older and prefer more comfort. Now, as you can see here, Nancy's not really taking ownership of her current physical state. She's blaming it on age. She's blaming it on the hotel. It's our fault that the room wasn't all that comfortable to get to. Whereas had Nancy done some strength training earlier in life, the stairs would not have been a problem, would not have caused her a problem. Okay. And so this is just one of those mistakes where we think this is the way things are supposed to be. We're supposed to get weaker every year. We're supposed to get fatter every year. We're supposed to get older and less able every year. And that's just not true. Okay. So we have to take ownership. We have to take responsibility for where we are, for where we're going. Now, before we go too far down the where we are problem, that's where mistake number 2 comes in. And mistake number 2 is that we don't forgive ourselves for our past negative action. Now, we also don't really give ourselves credit for when we've done good stuff, but that's less of a problem. And you've probably heard this voice in your head, and it's chastising you for screwing up again. We tried New Year's resolution, didn't work. It happened again. And we're talking to ourselves. Now, one way you can kind of recognize this voice and know that you're doing this is your internal voice is using the term always or never. You always screw up. You never do this right. So what we want to do is we do want to take responsibility for our poor choices, but we need to forgive ourselves. The past is the past. We can't fix that, but we should learn from it. And that's the process we want to be able to do. But these two mistakes are often getting in our way of really resolving what's going on and how we can fix it. Now, the third mistake's a little different in that the third mistake is typically that we just don't focus the changes that we're going to make on things that really matter. Now, there's a couple different ways that this happens. In some cases, we focus on the outcome. So we might say, I want to lose 25 pounds by the end of May. We go into the summer looking great, right? But when the outcome isn't happening, so, we're not losing a pound a week, which was what we thought we were going to do. It's not happening in a straight line. Some weeks we're not losing anything. Maybe we're even gaining. And that can get very, very frustrating. Sometimes we do focus on the actions, but those actions are not really aligned with what's going to get us the results. So it's completely unsustainable. So an example of this would be, okay, I decide I'm going to go for a run at least 3 miles every day so I can lose this weight. Now, running could help me lose some weight, but shouldn't I really be more focused on not eating crap, not drinking beer, not doing those things? Isn't that going to give me more bang for the buck than just making sure I run all the time? So relevance does matter. And if I say I'm going to do something every day, do you think we're really going to keep up with doing something every single day? Like there's not going to be a single day that we don't do it. No, that's not reasonable. So we're setting ourselves up to fail. And then another example, another time is that we just aren't specific. So a lot of people, instead of saying they want to lose 25 pounds, they just say they want to lose some weight. And they don't really specify the amount. So they're thinking to themselves, this is the year I lose weight. Now, we have this vague idea. That's cool. But how will we know we got where we wanted to be? So we've basically set it up where we feel like we can't fail, right? Because as long as I lose a couple pounds, I'm cool. Plus, if we don't set a deadline, so I just say, I want to lose some weight. Well, is that this year? Is that by May? So again, this doesn't put urgency on us. This doesn't keep us focused. It doesn't keep us moving in the right direction. And we really need to keep focused. So those are the three core mistakes that people tend to make. One is that they don't take responsibility. 2 is that they don't forgive their past failures. And 3 is that they don't focus on the things that matter most, that are going to help them move the needle and get what they really, really want. Okay. So now I'm going to walk you through 4 steps that I think you should take as you go into the end of this year and look at what you want to accomplish in the next year. Okay. Now, the first step is you need to ask yourself, why does this matter? It's just a guess, but I think travel was probably something that our guest Nancy really loves doing. But to ensure that she's going to keep doing it and keep enjoying it, she really should be training her body so that she's capable of doing the things that she wants to do. Okay, so if she thought through the process and said, okay, why do I want to get my legs stronger? So she's not stuck in a situation where she's not enjoying herself because she feels uncomfortable walking up and down stairs. She's afraid she's going to fall. And I understand that fear, but at the same time, she has to really get that why going. So once we get to our why, now we kind of have a drive, okay? So if we have a solid why, we're going to have a fire under our butt. We're going to have a foundation, and that's going to keep us from slipping, okay? The second one is we need to take responsibility to make change happen. Now, I told you earlier, one mistake we make is we don't take responsibility. But here, we need to take responsibility for our future actions, okay? Okay, so only you get to decide what you're going to eat. Only you get to decide how hard you're going to train. And only you can really be the reason why you fail. We could try to blame other things, but that's not really going to be your problem when it all comes down to it. It wasn't your situation. It was you. You have to take responsibility to make change happen. Now, I encourage you to get a coach. I encourage you to surround yourself with other people who want what you want. Set yourself up with good peer pressure. Peer pressure is only bad if you surround yourself with bad peers. If you've got some people around you that you know love what you love and want what you want and are doing the things that you want to be doing, they're going to help hold you accountable. A good coach will help hold you accountable. And this will be a good jolt of motivation for you when you need it most at the beginning. It's easy to do, cost almost nothing for the most part, and it's very quick and easy. It's the easiest way. Hire a coach, join groups, surround yourself with like-minded people. Okay. Now, the third thing is you need to get to know yourself. And I know you're probably thinking, okay, like I'm almost 60. I should know myself pretty well right now. But sometimes we actually do kind of try to fool ourselves. We aren't really totally aware of the things that drive our behaviors, our habits, and everything behind us. And we're all a little different. So it's not like you can take one formula. It's not like you can take one workout, one approach, one way of thinking, one way of doing, and it's going to work for all of us. We all have to find our own path. And part of finding that path is the self-awareness piece. Now, when I first started to try to fix myself, I kept getting hurt. Time and time again, I would get into it and then boom, I would do something to really just blow it out. Okay. And it wasn't till I realized that I was comparing myself to my younger self that I realized I had a problem. I was not recognizing that I was a much older man and I was unfit and I was unhealthy. Nothing like who I was when I was 29. Even at 39, I was not anywhere close to as healthy and fit as I was at 29. I couldn't push myself like that. I couldn't be like that. And I didn't think about that when I first got started. I thought, this is the way you do it. Do it the way you did it before. That didn't work. And so what I was doing was I was looking in the rearview mirror at the past me, the athlete me, the strong me, the fit me, the one that could recover quickly, the one that didn't get injured easily. But I had to realize that isn't who I am today. I'm sitting in this seat right here, and I'm looking out that window, that windshield. And so, this was the first mindset that I struggled with, and I called it the windshield mindset. And since then, I've identified 5 basic mindsets. These mindsets will block you if you don't know what they are. And until you do, they're going to be something that's going to hold you back. So when you do, though, you're in a position to really adjust things. And in many ways, these things can also be used as a superpower, okay? I don't have time to go into all 5 of the mindsets today. It's a little deeper than what I intended to talk about, but I do have a free 60-second quiz that you can take, and you can learn which one is your primary one. I discuss all of them in the output, so you'll hear all of them and understand what each of them are, because there's probably a little bit of more than one of them in you at any given point in time, and it is subject to change. I addressed the windshield. I realized I needed to do something else. And once I figured that one out, it was like a set of dominoes. Once I got this one, then I got that one. And so now I have a primary mindset that's actually very effective in driving my behavior. And I can lean in on that anytime I want to kind of turn that into my superpower. Now you can take this free health blocker quiz at 40plusfitness.com/quiz. Like I said, it takes about a minute, and you're going to get a customized output report with your results, and it's going to give you some guidance on next steps, things you can do to take advantage of this mindset. So self-awareness, the third item on this process, is really important, and it's not one that I would skip. The better you know yourself, the better you're going to be able to position yourself to be successful. Very, very important. Now, the fourth one is to set better goals. Basically, goals should include 6 things that make up an acronym called ASMART. Now, in professional life, I was taught SMART goals, but then I realized SMART goals aren't actually good goals. You need to add that A. And I'll get into what this acronym means. But I just wanted to go back a little bit and talk about some of the things we've talked about. When we talk about resolutions, when we talk about some of these other things, wanting to lose weight, wanting to do things, we tend to focus on the outcome. I want this outcome. What you want to do with goals is you want to align these goals and set these goals up so that they are the building blocks. They are the actions that you're going to need to take to move you towards that outcome. So if my outcome is that I want to lose 25 pounds before May, well, okay, now I've got to find the actions that are going to help me do that. And I've got to set those goals up in a way that will drive my behavior forward and I can be successful step by step by step so that by May, I have in fact lost that 25 pounds. Now, the A that I added to A Smart is actionable, action. Okay, so the goals should be an action, not an outcome. So the outcome is important, but the actions should be leading us to that outcome for the most part. One of the things about outcomes is we never really have full control. We don't know, we know certain things are going to probably move us toward an outcome, but we can't predict with any certainty that the outcome is certain just based on doing an action or two. We may have to tweak things, but we're going to sit down and we're going to come up with our first action and we'll start moving. And then we can kind of tweak it. And I'll talk about that towards the end here. But the goal must be actionable. Okay. It must also be specific. So the S in SMART is specific. You need to know exactly what the action requires. We can't be vague. Eat more healthy sounds good, but what does that even mean? Okay. We need to be specific, and that helps us narrow down the action. So I might say something like, I want to eat 5 servings of vegetables and 4 servings of lean proteins each day. Okay. So this gives me some specific planned actions that I can work toward. And I know if I bump up my vegetables like that and I eat 4 lean servings of protein per day, there's a good solid amount of nutrition. It's going to make me feel full longer, and it's going to push me towards a good weight loss program. Okay. The next thing on here is measurable. So ASM, M is measurable. How do you know you've succeeded? Now, in the previous example, I said 5 servings of vegetables and 4 servings of protein, and I know I've met it for the day. So I just count my servings. And when I get to my 5 servings of vegetables and 4 servings of protein, check. I passed that goal that day. Okay. Next, it needs to be achievable. And so to be achievable, it has to be a goal that I can do. It has to be something you can succeed in accomplishing. If you're not eating any vegetables right now, saying you're going to go to 5 servings of vegetables every day might be a pretty significant jump for you. So it might not be something that's all that reasonable. You don't like vegetables, you don't eat many vegetables, jumping straight to 5 might just be too much. So you need to think about something that you know you can generally be successful with. It needs to be achievable. Okay. So anytime it's every day or it's a large deviation from what you're doing now, those are probably much more difficult and therefore may not be achievable, and you might be setting yourself up. So make them easy at first, particularly at first. They should be stupid easy. You should have a confidence level of almost 100% every time you set a goal, and then you just go make it happen. And then you make the next goal incrementally harder, and you know 100% you can do that. Then you do it again and you do it again, and that over time stacks and just gets better and better. And the next letter here is R for relevant. Okay. Is the goal relevant to what you want and your why? So if you know you want to build leg strength so you can enjoy travel more and live better longer, does it make sense that you set a goal for cardio? Like you're going to swim laps at the pool. That's not going to make your legs stronger for you to climb up and down stairs. So probably not relevant to your overall goal. You may really enjoy swimming. You want to set a goal so that you're swimming more. That's great, but that's not relatable. It's not relevant to what your overall objective here is. What do you really want to accomplish? Why do you want this? I want to be able to travel. I want to be able to enjoy myself. I want to have the leg strength to have the balance and not worry about falling, be able to climb up and down stairs, do the things I need to do. Okay, if that's true, swimming's not going to get me there. So my goal needs to be about something that's going to help me build and maintain leg strength. So make sure it's relevant to your goals. Next, it needs to be time-bound. So you want to have a deadline and you want to have other time-bound parts to this to keep you focused. So you may say something more like this, like I'm going to do one full-body resistance training session per week for the month of January. So if you're doing none now or one every once in a while, doing one a week would be a step up. It's achievable. It's relevant because it's going to get you stronger. And you've got in a time-bound because you've got one session per week. And you're going to do that for the whole month of January. Now, what this allows you then to do, because you set a deadline, is as soon as you get to that deadline, which you want to be closer rather than further away, now you can reevaluate. Can we go to 2 times a month, 2 times a week? Can we mix in other things that maybe will help make us stronger? So you see, we can incrementally make this better, and being time-bound kind of gives us that opportunity because we're not just running off into oblivion, trying to accomplish something with no end in sight. Now, I do have a free goal setting guide, and I'd like to offer that. It's going to help you write better goals. You can get that guide at 40plusfitness.com/goals. And so if you go there, it's easy. You just download it. Now, for practical purposes, as you go into the new year, I don't recommend that you set any more than 1 to 3 goals. And if you're just getting started in the process of really setting good goals, the fewer the better, because you can focus more, you can get some wins, you can feel better about things. And then once you get something going, those things can become habits. So if we talked about eating the vegetables and the protein, if we talked about doing the resistance once a week, doing those over time, they can become goals. I mean, they become habits. Once they're habits, they don't even really need to be goals anymore because you're just doing them. And then once you know you're doing them, you can start stacking other things on there that are just going to go a little bit further and get you moving on and on and on. So the real magic happens once you've turned a goal into a habit. So that's what you really want to try to accomplish here. If eating more vegetables, eating better is important. The eating 5 servings of vegetables. If you're doing that every day, you'll begin to do that every day. That becomes a habit. Now you're really moving forward, and that's what you want. Now, as you go through this whole process, I'd love to hear about your 2026, what you're approaching differently, what you want to try to accomplish. And if you enjoyed this episode and you took some value from it, I'd love if you shared it with people around you that need this. We all want to live better longer. And what I hope is that the mistakes and the steps that I talked about today are going to help you and others through your journey. Now, have a happy and healthy new year, and I will talk to you again next year. If you enjoyed today's show, take a moment to subscribe so you don't miss the next one. And if you would, please leave us a rating and review on your podcast player of choice. Next time on the 40 Plus Fitness podcast, we meet Kayla Gergen and discuss her book, Ruck Fit, Build Strength and Endurance by Walking with Weight. Until then, have a happy and healthy week.